Welcome to the party. I'm not here right now, but I want you to listen very carefully. These guys are very funny, so pay attention. Enough talk. It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Bags of Action episode 59. My name's Steve, my co-host is Pete.
Hello.
This episode is a surprise because we didn't know what we were going to be recording
This is true.
Not that long ago. So, surprise listeners, the film we're talking about, except for those who are on the Facebook group, this is why you should go on there, you see, we're talking about Death Wish. This is the, of course, remake from 2018 starring Bruce Willis. And
That's
directed by Eli Roth, of all people, which is a surprise. But before that, some news. Do you have any news?
News, but just stuff that's happened.
Go on.
I guess that is the definition of news. I haven't got any news. I've just got stuff that's happened recently.
That'll do.
That's news. So the John Wick 3 trailer has dropped.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I am very, very, very excited. It's very different again from the first one. And the only complaint I could have of the second one is that it was quite similar to the first one in some ways. This third one is completely radically different because it's everybody in the world against him. And yet he's now on the run from all of them, whereas before he was going after somebody. Now the whole world is after him and he's having to team up with some old friends, which is a new twist.
This is true. I think I'd forgotten how much from the first film was obviously quite self-contained, and it's not a small film by any stretch of the imagination, but it's kind of the real world with elements of his previous life.
Yes.
But the second film is very world-building, isn't it? There's loads more
stuff and all that jazz.
And I thought, but this is just, it's gone, well, we've done that now, so let's go for it. It's interesting, you see kind of Lawrence Fishburne, you think, is this the Matrix of action movie trilogies? Maybe it is. Because that first film is quite small, self-contained, and then it does a lot of world building.
Yep.
But it's there's a horse in it, you know. There's more dogs. It's
Highbury with guns.
Exactly, and it's the first film, two films are so good that I'm very excited for that. May even have to go and watch it with other people out of the house, maybe. Maybe.
Are you becoming a recluse like Scott, who'll only watch it in their posh cinema or at home?
No, not too bad. Well, I say that I'll tend to go and watch a film in the last week of its release at about 10 o'clock at night. So it's usually just me and a couple of other people. Or a few times I've seen a few films on my own, literally, because it's like end of its run, it's just me there.
So you are becoming a recluse?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm like the kind of, not quite, I'm not quite a recluse. But if I'm not keen on the amount of people, I might get up and leave. No, not quite. Yeah. But we'll see. Are you you see it on the bit large screen?
I think so. I don't think I saw the second one on a large screen. I think I missed it at the cinema for some reason. Not sure why, but anywho. I've got a trailer I'm going to send you to watch. You have to watch it a bit later. But I think you may know about this already, but if I tell you the title, I think you'll be sold on it straight away.
Wow.
Ready?
Yeah.
The film is The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot.
I mean, I haven't seen this trailer, but I know I've heard of it, and I know that Sam Elliott is in it, and I love Sam Elliott.
Yes.
So, yeah. I will watch it, but I'm in anyway.
I knew it. I thought it's got Sam Elliott and that title, you're in. It is what you think it is. It's an old Sam Elliott who recounts a story from his youth where he was a very young soldier who broke in to I can't remember what it's called, Eagle's Nest, was it? Or something right at the end, and basically kills Hitler towards the end of World War II. And in the present, he's hired to kill Bigfoot for reasons that the trailer explains.
Okay.
It looks amazing.
It's a true story, right?
Absolutely, yes. It's based on real life events documentary.
Excellent.
Yeah. It was released in America on February the 8th this year, but I don't know when we're going to be getting it or how or this sort of thing. But it looks just yeah, it's been to a lot of the film festivals and been selected for all sorts of things. But it's getting probably quite a limited release, so I think we have to be very careful to watch out for it at the UK cinemas.
Okay.
But it's just amazing, amazing.
Sounds like some B-movie goodness, and I'm all up for that.
Oh, yeah.
So have you started watching the second season of The Punisher?
Yes. Oh, yes.
How far in are you?
I got to the point where John Benthel does some of his roaring as Frank Castle. At that point, I was just happy. As he shoots people and smashes them with anything.
I think that's the end of episode 1, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. I think I've watched 4 episodes.
Okay, we've watched 3.
Right.
So, and the listener may not have watched any. So I guess we can't say very much. But I've been seeing stuff online about people saying, "Oh, this is so much better than the first series," or "I didn't like the first series; it wasn't Marvel enough." It's like,
what?
I struggle, and I'm pretty, opinions are opinions. People like different things, but I think if the Punisher with this version was a film, we'd be all over it, and there'd be a 5-bag episode.
Yes.
Because I think the first series was really good because the drama was really strong, the story was really strong, and then it's ruthless as anything, but in character. And this, for me, started the same. I'm there so far. If the rest of it is as good as the first 3 episodes, I'll be very happy.
Me too. I mean, I saw someone saying, "Oh, finally got sort of 30 minutes in and something happened." I thought, are you watching the same show as me? Stuff is constantly happening. I could say, if all you wanted is him shooting someone for 45 minutes for every episode, then that would be boring and crap. It has to be character. There has to be plot. There has to be, development. I just thought, what do you
even need to feel for the people that are being shot at,
exactly,
or hate the people doing the shooting. Otherwise, you might as well just put Call of Duty on.
Exactly. Just have cartoons and Itchy and Scratchy shooting each other. It means nothing. But you feel sympathy for the villains, and you have mixed feelings about that, and other characters you're not supposed to like. So it's properly jumbled, like real life, and like no one's completely all good or all bad. And
there's a little bit of a Logan vibe to the start of this series, I thought. A little bit.
What with him? Well, okay. I can't really say, but
again, no, sorry. I just started a train of thought that would potentially spoil it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. But I'm really enjoying it still. I think it's as good as the first season, which was incredible. I'm just sad that it's probably going to be the last one because of the whole behind-the-scenes faff stuff with splitting Disney and Marvel.
Well, I don't know, because apparently the other shows that have ended, there's a clause that they can't use the characters for 2 years. So if you, depending what side of things you believe, apparently Netflix are the ones that cancelled the shows because they want to continue with it anymore. And the Marvel they've got the characters back, but they can't use them for 2 years. But the Punisher wasn't part of that original 5 series deal. It was a later deal, so it hasn't got that clause in it.
Interesting.
So if the Punisher was cancelled, and there's been no mention of it, but if it does happen, it'll probably be in a few weeks' time once everyone's watched this series.
Yep.
If it does get cancelled, I think that Marvel/Disney could just carry on straight away. I think, but we shall see, I guess.
Yeah, because they're saying the original thing was only for the first 4 shows, which was Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones.
To made up the Defenders, essentially. Because don't forget, the whole plan originally was only 1 season of each in the Defenders, and it wasn't supposed to be a series of anything. It's just they were so successful, really. Or were they? Who knows? But we'll see.
Well, I thought so, but anyway, hopefully we'll get some more.
So I've got some news from 1984.
Wow, we're going to get that time machine. Okay, tell us, Pete.
No, I was reading some stuff about Creed, because we talked about Creed 2 the other day.
Yep.
And it's one of those clickbait things, though, because I saw it and it said, Sly Stallone wishes he hadn't killed off Apollo Creed. in Rocky IV, and then you read it, and he put that in a tweet to say happy birthday to Carl Weathers. So he said, I wish I hadn't done it so soon. He said, I think it works for the character, but he wished he'd kind of let him come back. But from reading that, I read the whole article and then a couple more articles. You know, it's like you go down the rabbit hole of a topic, particularly one you're interested in. And did you realise that in the original script for Rocky V, Rocky died at the end?
Oh, yes, I heard that. And I can't remember who they tested it with. I don't think they actually even filmed it, but they didn't like it.
I think Sly himself and the execs kind of sat down and went, because he would have died in the street brawl with Tommy, basically. That's one of the reasons it wasn't in the ring and it was a street brawl, was so and they realised kind of his story wasn't ended. But the other thing this article said, which I thought was quite interesting, that the first Rocky obviously was inspired by Muhammad Ali fighting Chuck Webner, and Sly saw that fight and then made a film about the equivalent kind of person, someone who went the distance with the champion. But then I didn't realise, it's really interesting that every time he goes to write a script, he's like, okay, I've got to try and capture that greatness, that Oscar, nominated thing. So he bases elements on where he is in his own career. So Rocky II is very much about, can you repeat what you did before? Because he was trying to repeat it. Yep. And apparently they were saying Rocky Balboa was because he felt kind of overlooked by the industry and forgotten.
Interesting.
So it's an interesting article. It's basically kind of said that whenever he goes to write a script for it, it's the character that he feels closest to, and that he kind of takes wherever he is in his own life, he projects into Rocky. So
well, it makes sense when he was at his height of his career and everybody wanted a piece of him, and he took his eye off the ball, perhaps, and as he had in Rocky III with Clubber, and he lost his edge and all this kind of stuff. So you can definitely see the mirror between Rocky's life and Stallone's life.
There we are. And we have Rambo to look forward to, of course.
Yes, which is wrapping up another one of his most famous characters. Looks really good, what we've seen so far. I can't wait for a first trailer. All I know is that's going to have a Logan vibe to it, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot of people. Yeah. Two quick bits of news for me is that, more dates. I think previously I mentioned the Triple Frontier film, which is coming out on Netflix with the Ben Affleck and Charlie Hunnam and all that kind of stuff. Oscar Isaacs. So that's coming out on the 15th of March. So set your watches, everybody. Make a note on your calendars, on your Rolodex if you're old enough to remember that kind of stuff.
Put it in your Filofax.
Put it in your Filofax. Put it on your digital watch. It'll beep on the date.
Play Edelweiss.
Absolutely. Get the abacus out. So that's 15th of March for that. And the other big one that I'm really looking forward to, we're going to have to wait a long old wait for it, unfortunately, is Terminator. This is not coming out till November, apparently.
Okay.
So this is the return of Linda Hamilton, where basically James Cameron has said, I'm going to know everything after Terminator 2 and do a sequel to that. So
it's kind of what everybody wants.
Yeah, I think they're calling it Terminator 6. I think. But, But this is what it's basically going to be. You've got a much older Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor, which kind of works because that's her now. 25 years on since she last played it, or whatever it is, or even 30 years or something. So no trailers yet, but we've had some screenshots and some images, and that looks really good. So. Those are the two big kind of action things we'll have to talk about at some point.
Okay.
Cool.
As we've mentioned Sly and Arnie, or touched on Arnie, I'm not going to actually talk about Escape Plan 2 until you've seen it, if you decide to watch it.
I will watch it, because I've, from what you've said, there's something there to discuss. There's something. I
believe so. Maybe when you watched it, we'll do it as a not news as such. Like it's just news to us, so that can count as news.
Maybe we'll do it as an episode. I don't know. Maybe we'll just talk about it in passing.
Let's see when you've seen.
We'll see when I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah.
If it's worth talking about. Okay. All right. Right. Let's crack on with the main. So this is Death Wish from 2018. So before we talk about that. How aware were you of the original Death Wish films starring Isnibs, Charles Bronson? Have you watched any of them?
I definitely knew about them. I mean, culturally, they were a huge thing. even though I'm a bit older than you, I still was a bit young, I think, when the first ones came out.
74 was the first.
I was born, so I didn't
not.
watch it. I didn't watch it immediately. I wasn't like. My mother didn't give birth in the cinema, and I saw Death
The first image burned onto your retinas was Charles Bronson gunning someone down.
But I think I've seen. I may have seen the first one.
Right.
I think I've seen like the fourth one or something. I've seen bits and bobs, but I was thinking of this when I was doing notes. Is that like the thing now? We've got this whole kind of like this kind of film has come back into vogue in a way, but in a slightly different way. So what you'll get now is people that used to be in the armed forces or a secret agent or an assassin, and they get dragged back into their old life because something bad happens. But the bad thing that happens will be like a pet dies or someone's kidnapped. It doesn't tend to be as brutal as in the 70s stuff. The 70s stuff was a lot more shocking, and it tended to be families being murdered or sexually assaulted. And what I worked out is the heroes or anti-heroes, I guess, tended to be everyday people.
True.
They weren't somebody with a background in
exercise of skills.
Yeah, they were just somebody who, like, I don't know. Well, in the original version of this, actually, he was an architect.
Yeah, which was really weird to find out.
Yeah, so he could measure people. He could measure the exact angle to picture the face. So it was. It tended to be. In a way, I think it is like a white collar kind of vigilante fantasy. Really, is what these films were, and there were loads, and there were loads of copies. There were loads of. There's a film I remember, which I found details of, called No Safe Haven, which I remember watching with my dad, and I was quite early in my teens, and he was like, and he just walked in. He went, "Oh, what's this?" And then basically the people walked into a house and just brutally murdered the main character's mother by shooting her up against the fridge. And then it just got into the kind of revenge stuff. And there were so many films where the first 10 minutes were your mother, your wife, your daughter. It was always a female character being, terribly treated. And then the rest of the film is somebody learning how to handle guns and then going and getting their own back. And it's interesting, this was written by Joe Carnahan, who wrote The Grey and The A-Team, and a film I absolutely love called Narc. Have you ever seen Narc?
I don't think. Maybe.
Jason Patrick film. Anyway, so because I guess it's a weird, interesting thing because like Eli Roth is known for the Hostel films, and he's kind of a Tarantino buddy, and he's kind of more of a torture porn kind of guy, I guess. And so it was an interesting thing because I kind of look at it and go, well, Death Wish, it is exploitative, and that makes sense of that kind of director. Carnahan is a really established writer, and it's a really good cast for this kind of film. It's Bruce Willis. Admittedly, a lot of the films he does now, it was quite nice to see him with a film with a decent budget, and that was lit well, and felt more like a bigger budget film than he's been in recently. Vincent D'Onofrio, who it's still hard to not see him as Kingpin.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Shue is still around. She's in it. And Dean Norris from Breaking Bad, who's playing very much the type, really, as a police guy.
Yeah. He's been in everything from Starship Troopers, on upwards. He's just been in films forever. But so the original one was based upon a novel from 2 years ago, which obviously I didn't know either. And I didn't know the original one was directed. The first two films were directed by Michael Winner.
Michael Winner, Michael Winner, yeah.
So in the new one, they've kept the blue collar, white collar kind of ordinary man thing, but instead of an architect, they kept the name as well.
Yep, he did.
So the original character was Paul Kersey, and Bruce Willis is playing Paul Kersey again. Although they've changed it a bit so that he's more upper class. In this, he's a emergency room kind of, not surgeon, kind of doctor who stabilizes them long enough to be taken to the operating room. So he's very, very wealthy. He's often on call. His family are incredibly accommodating. What do they call it? Trauma surgeon. There you go.
That's it. But did that... You see, the first thing, as soon as they mentioned he's a surgeon, and like up on the little corner of Netflix, it says graphic injury detail written at the top. I thought, oh, hang on a second. Is this basically, although it's Death Wish,
Yep.
and he's got guns and what have you, is it going to be is it basically, because he's a surgeon, is he just, my thoughts at that point was he was just going to get the people that he's obviously going to be getting revenge on and then just start like cutting them into pieces or
I did wonder.
Because I thought, oh, is this kind of going to be an Eli Roth film dressed up as Death Wish, really?
Yeah, but it wasn't that, thankfully. It was closer to the original model of the original film, I would say. Obviously, by changing things up and making him wealthy.
I don't know. Architects have probably got a fair bit of money, haven't they?
Yeah, well, some do. It depends what the thing is. But the mold is pretty similar in that the wife and the daughter are attacked much harsher, as you said, in the original. Compared to the 2018 version, and he then goes on revenge, trying to find the people. But the weird thing is, it was because Bruce Willis starts off as an ordinary guy. He's not a maniac with guns who knows everything. That was a different. I've got very mixed feelings about this film, so I kind of work through them. So that was different. So it was interesting to see Bruce Willis in a role where he wasn't immediately a badass and just went out and killed everyone. So that was interesting. He, as you said, a lot of the films he's had in the last few years have been kind of paint by numbers. We know from other people talking about him, he just kind of walks through them half asleep some of the time. He did actually do some acting in this one, which was nice.
He did some good acting, I thought. Yeah, so after his wife dies, we are obviously going to spoil the film, and his daughter's in hospital and stuff. It was interesting because there's an element of me goes, yes, this is an everyman who can't use guns, but it's also Bruce Willis. So it's hard to kind of, even in other roles, it's hard to disconnect him from that in a way, if you know what I mean, because he's done so many films where he essentially he's John McClane. But the quiet moments, I think, were the bits, the first 25 minutes or so of this film I quite liked because it did feel like it was quite up to date, but at the same time had the elements of the old thing. As the audience, you felt aggrieved on his behalf. He was a guy who basically would repair sort of gangbangers in trauma, and someone would say, hey, you're going to help the guy who just shot me? And he's like, yeah, essentially he's a proper doctor, everyone gets treatment. And you knew that was going to change, and I found that really interesting. And he does, he gets to do his, this is still the guy who was in 12 Monkeys and Pulp Fiction. So in the bits where he's grieving and he's going to the counselor and stuff, and he's being very quiet and still, I thought he was really good. And then, I don't know, for me, the film, once he actually got into kind of Death Wish mode, I'm not sure what film this film wanted to be. Tonally, it felt really, really all over the place for me.
It's difficult, to separate him from his previous roles. I almost wish he'd cast an unknown or someone. I wish, and this is without
sounding like I'm trying to kind of be super progressive, I think it would have been a more interesting film if the Willis and Elizabeth Shue roles were reversed.
Well,
and if it's something that happened to him and she'd been the one that ended up going like that.
Perhaps, Pete, you could watch with me in future the film Peppermint, starring Jennifer Garner. She is an ordinary housewife whose family are either killed or attacked, and nothing is being done. So she disappears for a couple of years and basically goes off to become a harder bass, training on everything, comes back, goes after them, and then everybody is then watching, and people are on her side because they know who she is and know what's going on, and social media's involved, and filming and all this kind of thing. So I don't know when that's coming out, but it's been filmed, and there's a trailer coming out for it if it's not already out. So that's one to watch.
Okay.
So there you go. Trying to see when it came out. Don't know. It says 2018. That's what it says. It came out last year, but I've not seen it release date over here. Or America, it came out in September. There you go.
Okay.
I've not seen it.
It does, yeah. Just reading the descriptions, it seems like it's this is one Hard to Kill, where she comes out of a coma.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. So you would have preferred to see this kind of spun around.
Well, maybe,
it.
and they're not. Again, not because it's like there should be. I do think there should be more good roles for women, but it's not just because that. It's just because it's something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Seeing Bruce Willis being avenged is not something we've seen before. Peppermint is described as the female John Wick.
Perhaps,
but doesn't appear to have a UK release date.
Not yet. But it's one to keep an eye out for. Maybe on like a download or a Netflix, it'll pop up or something. He doesn't become the machine. He doesn't become this kind of super killing thing. I like the fact that the first time he goes out, he's just walking past and he sees this woman being harassed by two guys, and he goes, "Hey, stop that!" And she runs off, and he doesn't know what to do, and they basically just kick the crap out of him. He doesn't then go off and learn karate and train with guns every night and become a marksman and go out. He doesn't. He's just kind of. He's still bumbling around, and he ends up with a gun by accident. And then he does what anyone else would do. He's on YouTube watching videos on like how to clean your gun.
Yeah, that is true.
Do this. I'm like, oh yeah. And
I think it's the weird thing of having a film like this that's made and set now.
Yeah.
Because it is so different. So the first bit that took me out of the film was where he's watching like this video about places to buy guns, and it felt like a parody.
Yeah.
But then I remembered I'm not American, and I don't live in America, and I all through this film I'm trying to work out, is the filmmaker doing like the 70s thing of like, yes, let's root for this guy, or is he trying to spin it in another way about gun culture? I don't think the ending makes it about gun culture, but it feels almost like he's trying to go that way. So it's quite over the top. And then when he goes to buy the gun from the like attractive woman selling guns, it all feels a bit like a gun fetish culture thing. But then it does also feel like something you'd see on the news now. So it does feel more like, I guess it just feels over the top. But then I guess that's just the reality in some places. I thought the way he got the gun was a little bit contrived, but maybe it's just because it happened so quickly. As soon as he thought he was going to, he started watching the videos, and the next day someone dropped a gun. Whereas maybe it should have been a bit more of a gap between that. Yeah, and I think, when he first started killing, I thought this just feels like a real stretch for this guy to be doing this. But then they did sort of show him with remorse and kind of.
Well, he hurt his hand the first time he did it. Remember, because he said, "Oh, there's someone who's not shot a gun before," and it kind of jumps back on his hand and cuts it. And there's that weird thing again. It's very much set in now, because when he first goes out and does it, someone's filming him through a window, and they film the whole thing. And when the cops come to talk to the person, they sort of say, we'd appreciate if you didn't release this. And the girl's like, "It's already out on YouTube. I'm getting hits like crazy." And I'm like, oh, okay. So there again, it feels like that's a kind of commentary on social media and people wanting to get known for things. And then you had like Sirius Radio talking about him all the way through, which is another kind of weird aspect. It felt a very 21st century film in some ways.
Yeah.
But it was very, as you said, it felt quite jumbled at times. There wasn't a clear, distinct mood to the film.
No, and the police were almost comic relief.
They were, when they're joking with their boss.
It was almost like Keystone Cops. It was just the strangest thing. It felt like they just basically they'd almost gone like, I know you're supposed to be filming this other film over here, like, which is like a Judd Apatow film that's, about these comedy bumbling cops. You couldn't just pop in and do a few scenes just to pad this out for us. It felt really, give me a bear claw. It just felt really, really odd in a film with someone essentially, killing people in the street.
Without looking it up, can you tell me the name of the two cops' boss who pops in for one scene to chew them out and then kind of walks off, having told them to do their job better? He's a very famous actor. We've seen him in lots of things. He's in lots of action films. He's not Sven-Olof Thornton. He's in lots of TV shows. He's been in X-Files. He's in... I'm trying to think what else I've seen him in recently.
Oh, it's not... Go on.
It's Stephen McHattie.
I don't know who that is. I do know what he is.
He was in Watchmen. He was in Orphan Black. He was in The Strain. He was in 12 Monkeys.
Okay. Yes.
He's in everything. Absolutely everything you can think of. He's been in it. Really. Seriously, he's in Haven as Driscoll, and yeah, brilliant. Stephen McCarthy, love him. He turns up, tells them they're loser, but there again, you said like the comedy thing. The guy's going, well, we've got this, and we've narrowed it down, and the boss just stares at them like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Really?" So, as you say, the tone shifts. Maybe they're just trying to make light of some of the more serious scenes, but it was really off balance for me.
Yeah, and some films can do it, and maybe it's just there's a bit later actually where Bruce Willis delivers a line which feels like it's come from a completely different film.
What's that?
And there's a few Looney Tunes moments in it. There's a bit where the bowling ball falls on the guy's head, and there's the bit where he says, Are you going to kill me? No, Jack is. No, Jack is. Then drops a car on him. It's like, guys, this is not, Mr. Freeze. This is.
It's not Batman and Robin.
It's like, what are you doing? It does. A film hasn't made me scratch my head as much as this in a long time, because I was like, every sort of 10 minutes ago, I get this film now. I know what I'm watching. Oh no, hang on. Why are you making one-liners? Aren't you the guy who was the surgeon and it just, I don't know. And there's things like, I just didn't buy, like, he kills a guy called the Ice Cream Man. He's a drug dealer selling. Yeah. But he just finds out about it and just walks over. I appreciate he's trying to be like he's back in Unbreakable with his hoodie up all the time. Yep. Or being Luke Cage. But like, it's broad daylight. And he's
the only white man in a predominantly black neighborhood that is seriously not a good area from the way the set's decorated.
And he looks just like Bruce Willis. They're all going to know.
Okay, if you didn't know it was Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis wasn't, a known actor, and you had to describe him, you'd say average height, white, bald head. Any interesting features? No. Eye colour? Not really sure. Anything else about him? Any tattoos or anything? No.
No. Got a bit of a smirk.
And that's it. You're like, I've now run out of things to describe him. Who does he look like? Yeah. I don't know. No one. Because he's not so. In some ways, you can kind of understand it, but equally,
you could eat because Dean Norris playing the cop doesn't look that dissimilar to him.
Slightly more overweight. Looks like a guy from Breaking Bad, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. So one thing that I did quite like was that the fact that he goes to the therapist after he started killing people, and they're like, "How are you doing?" He's like, "I'm great. I'm fine. I feel so much better." And it's almost like the next stage of grief is revenge.
No, he'd started seeing her before.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying is that when he'd been going before, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't eat. I can't sleep.
Do this.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm absolutely brilliant. Yeah, great. I'm having a great time.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." It's like, that was again. Bit of cheese, bit of Edam in the room there. I could smell it.
She's an accessory, I think that means. But also, did you know at that point as well? Because, and again, whether it's just for modern audiences, because we can't really follow this guy that's killing everybody. That's a bit bad. Let's follow so we start following the police for about 20 minutes. Yeah. And I don't really know why. They made a few jokes. They came across that they were really going to be helpful. Then they came across that they didn't really give a shit.
Yep.
And then they came across that they're incompetent.
Yes.
And then suddenly we were following them, trying to work out who it was. There's one thing, and I don't know if this was deliberate or whether it's just me projecting. But did you think that Vincent D'Onofrio was in on the crime?
Yes. Yes. So there again, they've set that up again. Like they do this thing where they go to. So he's got problems with money. So at that point, you're thinking, because he says his brother says we should say that Vincent D'Onofrio's character is playing the brother of Bruce Willis's character. And at one point, they've been out to dinner somewhere, and he's kind of hanging around, and Bruce Willis looks at him and says, "How much do you need?" And he's like, "No, just $2,000." And you're thinking, right, he's got problems with money. Yeah. He's maybe gambling. He's not he's a dodgy guy, blah, blah, blah. And they set that up.
And he's the guy who kind of, I think, sends him over the valet guy over to the car, who then gets the details to rob the house. I think they are, because in lots of other films, that would have been the story.
Yeah, and because Vincent D'Onofrio is known for playing villains. Yeah. So that's what you think it's going. Then they do the thing where the cops start looking for someone, and yet somehow they come to him, find him like playing baseball practice, in a batting thing, and they talk to him like he's a potential suspect, and it's like, what? So has he got a dodgy background? And then
I think that's because he's got a criminal record. I think he was the closest person to what happened that has a criminal record.
Yeah. And then they set up that thing where you think he's going to do something, and then he gives the money back to his brother. So, and because he lost his job, it wasn't a gambling thing, and blah blah blah. And he's back on his feet. And then even then, you still kind of think that they're angling it that way. So you find out maybe he had a massive grudge against his brother for some reason, and he's the boss behind all of the people, but he's not.
No, he's just a nice brother that happened to be on difficult times. I think they've almost, like you say, deliberately cast to make you think that.
Yeah.
Because it was around the scenes where he's kind of being really comforting that I kind of looked away and was making notes. And I hadn't really thought of him being Kingpin in Daredevil until then. But I just heard him say something and like suddenly clicked into his voice. I mean, it's different because he does a very kind of like staccato delivery almost as Kingpin. I suddenly was like, oh, he's being really genuine, but he sounds like Kingpin. But yeah, I think I'm glad that you said it as well, because I thought if I just misread this, I think they were
in there.
Yeah.
To make it seem like he's dodgy and to make you think something else is going on, and yeah, they set it up that way.
I mean, how he finds the people who actually did it, because at first, we should have said, I guess, he's, which I'd forgotten from the original Death Wish, it isn't just revenge for what happened. It's just kind of like, well, a bit like Falling Down. It's like, well, hang on, look at this broken world.
Yeah.
There's police getting shot. There's people getting away with stuff. My family. Actually, who's doing anything about it? The police are not doing anything.
They're drowning in cases.
So I'll do it. I'll take it, Lord. So he's killing anyone he sees doing wrongdoing, I guess.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, I thought this was a bit. When a guy's brought into the trauma room and he looks dodgy, and I think he's got a tattoo that he recognises, and then he gets his phone, he checks his phone, which has then got a picture of
he's got his watch
of his
on.
address.
He's wearing his watch.
Is that what it is? Yeah, okay.
So
because they mention the watch a lot at the start, and it's kind of a...
Yeah, it's a special watch. It's a birthday thing. He's called Miguel. He's got MJ on his arm. He doesn't he die on the table? Yes, because they go to resuscitate him and he dies. And then he goes back in when they've covered him up, gets his watch back, goes into personal belongings and steals the guy's phone. So he knows at some point the guy stole his watch. And the only way he could have done that is that if he broke into the house, and therefore on the phone he finds stuff, contacts, and a picture that the guy had taken of his address. So we know that he's involved, and now that he's got his phone, he can work out who some of his contacts are, and some of them were probably involved. So, and then there's like a photo of the shop, which is where he goes to next to find the next person. Yeah. So there's a simple logic to it, but it is very, very tenuous.
Yeah, but I suppose they live in a not small neighborhood, but I guess it's near enough to the place where this restaurant was, that the valet was at, I suppose, because he uses that, doesn't he? He kind of he goes into this strange bar. Is it a bar? Which has got...
It's like a bar and a thingy shop, a pawn shop.
Yeah, which people watching...
boxing or something? Or
no, it's a lady in a G-string 10-pin bowling. Because I thought it's like topless darts. It's like topless darts back in the day. I was just thinking, because it just kept being shown. I was thinking this is a very strange niche place that they're at.
It is.
So he goes there, pretends he's in the restaurant, but it's kind of blatantly obvious he's not. The guy rings Fish, not from Marillion, but the guy who's behind this. And yeah, and he says he's the second guy that he drops with a bowling ball.
Yeah.
They land it felt like a Looney Tunes cartoon. It's just like, I don't know. Again, tonally, it just felt really weird.
I think
really
what they were supposed to show by that was that he's not a professional. It's all down to luck. It's purely random, and he only escaped because of the bumbling around of the other guy, not because he's a great super killer like Bruce Willis normally is in the film. So it's supposed to show that he's the everyman, that, it was pure chance and he could have died at any moment, and to raise the risks. But in this kind of film, one is going to win, and two, he's not going to die.
I think when you knock a shelf and a bowling ball rolls along and lands on someone's head, the only thing missing is stars. It is. It's like all you need is stars around his head. It's
a very 80s thing to do in a film.
Yeah, but if the whole film was him saying no jackies and that happening, it would be more like an Arnie film.
Yeah, if that bowling ball had hit the guy in the head and he'd said, strike, then, or, I need a spare. Something.
Should write the second one.
Yeah. Then, then that would have been consistent, but it didn't do that, so.
No, it was, it was just odd for me because, and I put a note here, it's like, 1 minute it's playing it super straight, then it's got this bowling ball thing, then it's on the news cycle and him being called the Grim Reaper. I don't think he was called the Grim Reaper in the original. Yeah, and there's a copycat, which I thought was quite interesting. There was a copycat person that died.
Gets killed straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, guy goes out in a hoodie, sees someone being mugged, guy has a gun, shoots the copycat, dead, finished, and you're like, oh, there again, it's supposed to show that he's not invincible and he's not super strong or special in any way. That's what they're trying to do with that. And, yes, it could happen, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, they're throwing a lot of stuff at the wall. Social media and the radio and copycats and the police. It almost feels like they could have stripped down the script and made it leaner and less silly and it would have worked better. And plus, they could have then got a consistent tone. I think clarity, that's it. So when I'm working on a book or something and I get edits back, it's about stripping stuff out or tightening things to make it consistent so you have clarity of story. And I think that's what was missing from this film.
Yeah, and I think when we, obviously, because we both write, when we're watching something that's good, that's going to get a higher score, not giving anything away, but we forget that. The writer in me certainly turns off, switches off, because you're going on. Whereas with this, I was thinking, what? Hang on, let me pause it a second. Why have they made that decision? And I don't know, like you say, they've thrown so much at it. It feels like either they just never had confidence and threw stuff in it anyway, or they had a film which just didn't have enough to it, and they've added loads of stuff on and gone for kind of volume of things rather than. I still don't know what I think about this film, to be honest. But I guess that this is where things shift a bit, isn't it? Because Knox, who's the main bad guy, he tries to kind of wrestle control back from Hershey now. Because up to now, I guess Hershey's kind of managed to bumble his way through killing the right people, and he's the kind of main person. But he lures him to a club, doesn't he?
So this guy phones up Paul Kersey and says, he rings him and he doesn't answer, and then he texts him and says, I know who you are, I know what you've done, turn up at this club or else I'll tell everybody. So he walks into the trap basically, and it goes badly wrong and he gets shot, and there's people all in the club getting shot and killed, and he uses someone like a body as a screen at one point, not on purpose, like someone stumbles in front of him and they get killed instead of Paul. Bruce Willis.
He did, because it was quite weird, because I just thought at this stage, he wants this guy dead, but it felt like his daughter wasn't awake, I don't think, at this point, but nope. But she's showing, I think, better signs, and he started to think that the police might be onto him, but he shows no real fear of getting caught.
No,
which I could understand if his wife and daughter were both dead, nothing to lose.
Yep.
But he has still got someone who's alive and who's relying on him. And also there's a scene in the club, I think it's in the toilet, that he suddenly is very good with a gun. I guess, practice makes perfect.
Well, we have seen him practicing through the film, but even so, it's still a bit kind of...
He's like, led on the floor through the stalls of a thing. He's kind of managing to hit people quite, and while he's being shot.
Yeah.
But again, but that's the thing. Like, I could buy that if I bought into the tone of the film. Mm-hmm. If I'd gone, okay, this is all super heightened. Like John Wick is heightened as anything.
Yeah.
The Equalizer is much more grounded. I think that's the trouble with this film in some ways, is that it's come out now and not even 5 years ago, where there's so many other things of a similar ilk that are doing something that works really well for now. Anyway, so this bit's quite interesting because his daughter's awake. She doesn't know the mum is dead, which is pretty grim. And then the police are at the hospital. But the killer is in the elevator. Knox is in the elevator with him, isn't he? Pretending to be a patient.
Well, he was. Here's the irony: he was a patient, and he claims to be a witness and tells them about what was happening at the club. The police then go after Paul Kersey because they know that he's involved, but they can't prove it. And plus, he's a very, very rich, trauma surgeon who has a lot of money. So the cops say, "We'll only go for him properly when we're absolutely sure that we can get him." So they can't, even though this guy has said it, they've got no evidence, they've got no DNA or proof of anything that he was there. Although, to be fair, if he was shot in the club, there's blood, and therefore you could probably get... Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But you kind of have to go past some things and just go with it.
So he goes home.
Yep.
And kind of... is the guy going after him at home because he doesn't want him to know who he is? Or is he getting revenge for his friends?
I think he already knows.
Is he just pissed off with him?
Pissed off with him, wants to get rid of him, and I think he just, it's the fact that he's killed his friends. But Bruce Willis' character knows. I think he recognised him in the lift.
Yeah, I think so.
He knew this guy was going to come after him. He knew something was going on because we've seen him walk into that shop again and say, "Hello, I'd like to buy a gun."
Which is this is the bit actually. This is the one bit of the story I thought was very clever because I was like, well, why is he buying a gun? He's already found a gun and then somehow got more guns. So why is he going there? But then you suddenly start thinking, hang on, what did they say at the start? Okay, she can fill out a registration form for him really quickly. She can, and also, I'm sort of jumping ahead, but it gives him, in a way, it gives him an alibi.
Yeah.
Because it's a new gun he's just bought, and if you're attacked in your own home...
Yeah, he killed an intruder. Yeah. It's understandable. Yeah, so that... Yeah, it's not... Well, we're spoiling the whole thing. Basically, the guy breaks in with two of his mates armed with massive machine guns, and Bruce Willis puts them down very hard. Oh, the guy down the stairs... I cringed when his... Oh, that was gross. That was pretty gross.
He kind of set it up as a trap almost, didn't he, for knowing they were coming.
Yeah. Whoa. But yeah, and he kills them all. And then, of course, the cops say, "Oh, where did you get the gun?" "Well, I just purchased it just the other day. And yes, I have a license for all these weapons from Jolly Rogers. You can look them up." And, the fact it's called Jolly Rogers just makes me cringe. But then again, maybe that's just us. Maybe there are places like that called Jolly Roger Guns.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's just, as you're saying about the commentary on gun culture, there's that thing where she says, "Oh, don't worry, there's hardly anything you have to do to get a gun. You can have it in no time." It's like, hang on. So that's kind of poking fun at Blakely. You can get any kind of fucking machine gun in 5 minutes and there are no checks. So that someone who's made the film is commenting on that. Someone is. It's not. You can't pretend otherwise.
No, and that's why, in a way, I thought it would have a different ending.
Yeah.
But because it kind of essentially ends with the policeman kind of going, "Well, how did you hurt your hand?" He's, "Oh, it just happened today." And he's like, "Really, really?
And your shoulder, your hand that's nearly healed, wink, wink.
And he literally is. I'd written here, I've literally put here, the police are okay with it, wink, wink.
Yeah.
And it is very like, "Oh, well, seeing as it's you, we'll say no more. Let's just get away with a warning."
Yeah.
And you kind of think, okay. But then I was like, okay, so what are the filmmakers trying to tell me? Because they've kind of pushed the anti-gun message because of everything that's happened in America, which I totally understand. But they're also still making this film, which is very much in that kind of exploitative space. And at the end, he's kind of a hero, and he got away with it, and it's kind of okay. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to think or feel.
But the very end is really weird as well. So it was in the trailer, which always kind of baffled me. So at the very, very end of the film, the daughter goes off to college and he's fine and all the rest of it. And they see some guy walking across the street and the guy steals a bag and Bruce Willis shouts out, "Yo, hey, stop that." And the guy stops and looks and goes, "What?" And he points his finger at him, Bruce Willis points his finger at him and pretends it's a gun and kind of goes bang, bang. And you're like, so what does that mean? Is it not over? Because the whole thing with that cop, he talks that through with the cop saying, "Oh, did you have a Glock?" He goes, "No." "Yes, but I don't need it anymore." "Are you sure?" "Yes, I don't have the Glock anymore. It's that part of my life is over." "Okay then, good." And then this bit at the end, you're like, so So what, is he now addicted to it? Does he enjoy killing too much that he can't give it up? Is it he's just become a hard ass? Like you say, I don't need to be led around by the nose in a film in order to know what to feel or how to feel. I don't like that. You make up your own mind.
No,
but because this film is so jumbled, you get to the end and you go, what? I know what I watched, but I don't really know what it's trying to tell me. Because I don't think it's very clear in itself. Maybe it was scripts, maybe it was editing, maybe it was revisions of the script. I just don't know.
It is weird, and if the action was at the level of an Equalizer or John Wick, some of the other things would maybe have melted away.
Yeah.
But there are some really strong scenes in this film.
Yeah.
But they do feel like it's nowhere near as good as the first 15 minutes for me. And the first 15 minutes, it felt like it was building up to being something as good as those two films, for me personally, because, I like the setup. But then it just,
Yeah, I just want to point out something quite fun right from IMDb. Do you know who my favourite character is? Or two, actually, favourite characters in the whole of this film?
No.
Okay, so one of them, the actor got this on the script, is called Belligerent Dad. So this is where right at the beginning, in that first 15 minutes, where he's at the football game, or soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Soccer,
That is a great,
if you're American, of course.
That's
soccer.
a good scene. That's a good scene.
Yeah. So there's this belligerent dad guy who's having a go at him and basically kind of trying to lure him into a fight because he's swearing. Played by the wonderful actor Andreas Apergis, who I've seen in things before. So, just a bit of an aside, but it's related. I listened to a podcast with Stephen Tobolowsky, who's been in the acting business for a long time. He's been in everything from Groundhog Day upwards, so many things. And he does this podcast, he talks about being in Hollywood. And he says, when you get a script, there's different levels to the part that you have. There's a part that has two names. So, John Smith, Paul Kersey, whatever. The next lift down is a job title and a name. So it'd be like Detective Johnson or, whatever, Barry the Plumber or something like this. And then there's the next version down, which is something like this, Belligerent Dad.
Yeah, well, Ian Matthews, next on the cast is Ian Matthews, who plays Ponytail.
Yeah, that was my other favourite part. The only thing worse than this next level down is Cop number 3 or, Dad number 2 or something like that. That's the next level down.
There are some great ones in this film, actually. There's Squeegee Man, Sponge Bath Nurse,
yes,
Witness, and Greenwich Thief.
Yeah, so you've got like Nurse Judy. That's a certain level. Nurse Audrey. And then you just get like Paramedic 1, Paramedic 2.
There's another two more, Tight-Dressed Woman and Well-Dressed Man.
Punk 2. You see, that's the next level down.
Yeah.
But I just love the fact that it's Belligerent Dad. So how do I get into my role? Well, you're a belligerent dad.
But then even further down than that, you've got like funeral attendant uncredited, pedestrian uncredited,
that's
good Samaritan uncredited. That's
basically
hard.
Extra. That's basically a slight step above an extra. That's what that is. Yeah. It's like, okay, so what do I get to do? Well, we're not going to actually credit you, but this is what you... Anyway, that's an aside, but that's fun. I love it. Belligerent Dad. I want to be that in the film.
If they ever make a film about me...
Yep.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yep.
Belligerent Dad.
But it is funny. It would have been a funnier ending if it ended up punching him.
Yeah, if she was playing soccer again and this time the man's there and he just punches him out. That would at least made consistent in some ways that he's gone on a journey, whereas this, you don't know. Has he gone on a journey? Has he not? Has he learned his lesson? Is he done? Are we ready for some scores?
I think there's anything left to say. Other than that, yeah.
You're a funny guy. Enough with the yak. What is your score?
Okay, do you want to go first? Because I've just been talking.
Oh, okay. So this was your choice, I believe.
It was. Yes.
Well, neither of us have seen it before.
Nope.
So it's good to see Bruce Willis in a slightly better role. We've kind of said all it already, I suppose, but it was 3 or 4 films welded together. And I think Bruce Willis was in 2 different films at once. But then I guess that, the quiet, sensitive 12 Monkeys Bruce Willis and the kind of, the smirky Bruce Willis that's in lots of other things. And it just it had promise, but it just kind of it fell apart. I thought completely, really, and then it just became a bit kind of like I say. If we're going to talk about this kind of genre of film and Taken and Equalizer and John Wick, this is a long way off of those,
Yep.
which is a shame because I think the cast is. It's not. It was an acting cast, if you know what I mean. It was people that have all got the chops, but the drama wasn't that strong, and the action scenes were okay, but it kind of, I don't know, there's nothing to elevate it really. And I'm battling between, because we don't do half bags, I'm struggling because I don't know. I'm going to be generous then, I think, and I'm going to give it 2 bags.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, a jumbled film, a bit of a mess. As you know, I'm not really in favour of remakes. There are a billion other new stories out there. But hey, they've gone back to the well on this one. I don't think it's done well enough to warrant any more. But then again, with downloads and digital things and that kind of thing, you never know. Bruce Willis can do some really good things. We've seen him in some great films, and he's got one coming up, of course, Glass, that looks going back to the well with, that he started on Unbreakable, so that could be brilliant. I'm looking at the stats. The budget for this film was $30 million. It only grossed $34 million in the US. And there was nothing foreign, so perhaps it went straight to Netflix. It wasn't released outside of the US, which isn't a good sign because we watched it on Netflix.
We did.
I mean, we know films on Netflix can be good, but if they're sent there as opposed to they originate there, that's not always a good thing. And this looks like it's probably lost money because they say take the budget and double it and add a bit more, and you have to clear that before you make a profit. So it doesn't look like it's made a profit. So
yeah, there's been no talk of a sequel, which I think would be the sign if it had done well.
Yeah. So based on all of that and everything we said so far, I'm only going to give it 2 bags as well because that seems quite harsh, but a 3-bag film is still very, very solid, and this was quite problematic in some ways. It was inconsistent and it was jumbled. So yeah, 2 bags. It's all right to have in the background if you've got nothing else to watch, which is not true these days. But if you want to take a look, go in with knowing all of that. I think that's fair.
It's interesting. On the Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave it 17%.
Right.
But the audience gave it 74%.
You get quite a big swing on some films though, and some TV shows with Rotten Tomatoes. So I never know how much to trust that site in particular. It's very difficult to know. Okay, so it's your turn to decide on what we're doing next. And have you thought about what we're doing?
I have. I'm battling between 4 different films that I'm thinking of. So there are 2 which I've been very good in watching, keeping an eye on what's coming up on TV and recording anything that looks like a good fit.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of films recorded from over Christmas.
Ooh.
I also have recently become an HD snob and I've been getting rid of all my DVDs, and I realised there are a few in my pile that I haven't actually watched. Things I had for birthdays years ago, still in the cellophane. So one of those is on this list. And then there's a film that I've seen that's come onto Netflix quite recently. So what would your preference be? One of the 2 films I've recorded, so they're quite old. There's a film from about 10, 15 years ago I've had on DVD ever since it was released, or which I can send you and lend you, by the way, if it's not available anywhere else. Or there's one that's recently come onto Netflix. What would be your?
Let's stick with something that's new and easier to get hold of for now.
Okay.
Go for the Netflix one. So
okay.
What is it?
So it's called Den of Thieves.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Now going to quickly look it up.
Okay.
Action crime drama. Good. Thank goodness it wasn't accidentally picked a rom-com. So this stars Gerald Butler.
Oh God. Okay.
A gritty crime saga which follows the lives of an elite unit of the LA County Sheriff's Department and the state's most successful bank robbery crew as the outlaws plan a seemingly impossible heist on the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay.
No, never heard of the director before.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Gudigast.
Oh,
Gudigast.
oh, good. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is in it. Hooray.
He's in Escape Plan 2 as well.
Oh, dear.
Well, there's a sequel already been announced for this film.
Oh.
The person who directed it, it's their first directing.
Yeah.
And they wrote London Has Fallen. And they've written this as well.
Okay.
Well, I gave you a choice. Those other three will stay on my list. I should ask you the same question every month.
Until we've gone through them all.
Until we've gone through them all, yeah.
Okay, all right. So we'll try that. So Den of Thieves.
2018
on Netflix. Okay.
It's also on Amazon as well, so there's, I think, people can.
So if you've seen it already, you could come and tell us about it and what you think of it on the Facebook group. You can email us, bagsofaction@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us an iTunes review. And have you seen the new Death Wish? And what did you think? And what score would you give it? So post that on the Facebook group as well. Okay, Pete, wrap us up.
Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are.
Good night.
Good night.
You have been listening to Bags of Action. No bullshit. You'd better stick around for the next episode, because if you're lying, I'll be back.